You don't have to start working immediately or going to go get your master's immediately upon graduating college. You're a college graduate or you're a high school graduate. You are 50, you're 40, you're 30, you're 20. If you are passionate about traveling, if you love learning about cultures and languages and people, travel. Do it. Do it now. Do it while you can. So where I'm at. So currently I am an English teacher in Germany. I started off as an au pair. I came here, I worked for 1 year with the host family in Germany, and then I found a job. But how did I get here? How did I end up here? So I studied English in secondary education at a 4-year university in the US. I've always known for a long time that I wanted to teach abroad. I've always known that I wanted to teach English abroad. So when graduation finally came and I was looking for jobs, I did apply for some jobs outside of the US, but I didn't find anything that really was suitable for me, or I just didn't get the job that I wanted. While other education majors were applying for universities to get their master's, or they were applying for schools to become a teacher, I didn't apply to any schools. Although I had my bachelor's degree in English and secondary education, I was not ready to start working and teaching in any of the U.S. public schools or private schools that was nearby my university. So what happened was I decided I'm going to spend this summer working and figuring out how to get my butt abroad, because it was something that I had been wanting to do ever since I went to China in 2015, and then that hope and desire was definitely restored after I studied abroad in Italy for a month. So I spent the summer working as an environmental educator, and I was making decent money. I was making enough money to be able to afford a flight somewhere. I still didn't know what I was going to do or where I was going to go. The thing is, I knew that I needed to get a TEFL certification if I wanted to teach abroad. It was something that I had researched before. I knew that it was a prerequisite in order to get a stable job working and teaching English abroad. I signed up for a TEFL course in which I studied basically how to become an English teacher and tips and things. Some of the things were being reiterated from my university classes that I had taken. I was familiar with some of the terminology that was used during the course, like teacher talk time. I was taking this class while I was juggling my summer job. And it was pretty easy. It was very manageable. The class was super easy, actually. I only had to read some things and then submit a discussion post. And that was about it. So essentially, I was reading articles and presentations that taught me new concepts, and then at the end of the week I had to submit a discussion post or reply to a classmate's discussion post. I started the course at the beginning of the summer, and then I completed the course toward the end of the summer. So it was about 2.5 months to complete the course altogether. While I was completing this course, I was looking up ways that I could get myself abroad. Again, this passion, this desire had been in me for the last 8 years, since 2015. And finally, I had the credentials to take myself abroad and see the world, and also finally be with students who wanted to learn English. So I was juggling with a few ideas. Mainly, I was flirting with the idea of becoming an au pair. I had already signed up for this website called aupairworld.com when I was previously obsessed with the idea of moving abroad, but I just didn't have the time in the summer to go. Essentially, it's a website that's dating or online dating for host families and their au pairs, because you're reaching out to different host families that catches your eye, and they're also reaching out to you. I also would like to add that I really, really wanted to go to Italy because I had studied there, and I knew that I would be persistent in learning the language because I am absolutely in love with the sound of Italian. Except I did some research and found out that Germany is also a good idea for me because I was looking for safety, especially as a woman and especially as a Black woman abroad. I wanted to feel safe. And I know that the universal experience for Black people in Germany, it's not the same. But I would say that so far it's been good, but we'll get back to that later. Also, I would like to add that before I made the decision to go through with aupairworld.com, earlier before I graduated, I applied for a master's program in Italy. I was not accepted, and I'm still not sure why, because I would say that my resume was great. I was just studying or continuing to study what I had previously studied in my 4-year college. I have always assumed that maybe it was because there were just too many applications, but to this day I still don't know why I didn't get accepted. But regardless, going back to like midsummer, as I was wrapping up with this TEFL certification program course thingy, I was on aupairworld.com, and after I updated my aupairworld.com website, I quickly got a lot of emails and messages in my inbox from the families from the countries that which I had, put that I was interested in. So it was Italy and Germany, and I think another country that was on my list. And a lot of families from Germany and Italy were reaching out to me. After doing my research, like I said, I kind of just stuck with looking for families in Germany. Long story short, it just felt right. Like I just went with kind of my gut, and I ended up deciding on working for the family in the big city. So this family is a mixed family. The mother is French and the dad is German, and so I was also really excited to get to know a little bit more about French culture. Of course, I went through the process of like meeting up with them online and scheduling calls to get to know about them more and their boys. And eventually, before I knew it, I was taking a flight. I had enough money from the job that I was working in the summer, so I took a flight. I bought my plane ticket here to Germany, and so did my mom. She insisted on joining me. She was super supportive. Actually, she was super hesitant up until the point where she arrived, and it was also her first time in Europe, and she finally got more comfortable with the idea of me becoming an au pair. After meeting the family and after seeing where I was staying in the neighborhood that I was living in. I would say that my au pair experience wasn't perfect, but I did learn a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about the world around me and about French culture and German culture. Not as much as I wanted to learn, but I would say still I'm really grateful for the experience, and that's something that I'll talk about more in a different video. As I was wrapping up with this au pair year, I knew that I wanted to stay in Germany, but in order to do that, I had to get a job. So I was looking up English jobs in Germany. I had my TEFL certification. I had my university degree. I was ready to go. I was finally ready to use my expertise and to utilize these degrees and certifications that I had. So I just did a quick Google search and looked up English jobs in my neighborhood, and there were some companies that replied to me, and then there were some that didn't. But I finally got called in for an interview or two interviews in order to get the job. There was one company in particular that the employer was just really supportive and really wanted me to work for her team. She's also an American, so that's great. And she helped me get my visa and just figure everything out for me to stay here. And so I want to juggle back around to the initial point of this video, is that you don't have to go immediately into the workforce, or if you want to travel the world, there are so many opportunities for you to do so, even if you don't have a lot of money. I don't come from a family that is super rich or anything like that, and I had to work my butt off in order to afford that flight ticket here. And everything just so happened to work out, and my community was really supportive of me. And even if you don't have that, you can still go and travel the world. Traveling the world and meeting new people and learning another language and being immersed in a country and culture that's not your own, it teaches you a lot, maybe more than working for a company immediately after college would. And of course, I'm not shaming those people who do decide to go into the workforce. I think all of it takes grit, whether you're traveling or if you're working or if you're studying, it all takes grit. So let's say you don't want to become an au pair. You don't have to become an au pair. There are so many other opportunities. There are so many things that you can do in order to travel, but there has to be some sort of exchange. From the research that I did, I found that I needed to be offering something, and there would need to be some sort of host or family or organization that could offer me something in return, especially because I didn't have a lot of money, and all I really had was some money in my savings. I did have some money in my savings, and then my passport. That's all I had. And so you have to be willing to find a company, more like an organization, a family, or just people, whoever is willing to let you work for them, whoever has a need. If they can let you work for them, then they can give you something in return, then there you have it. You have an exchange where you're in that country, you're taking part of the culture, you're learning the language, and you're having that experience that you desire so deeply, but you're also giving something. I just want to give you a list of opportunities. For one, there's an app called Worldpackers. You can look for opportunities in different countries where there's a need. Maybe there's an opportunity for you to work at a hostel, or there's an opportunity for you to teach English at a school. And in return, you have a place to stay. Your food, I believe, is paid for the most part. Kind of just have to look at what's covered and what's not. It really just depends on the opportunity. For some of them, you need a little bit of pocket money, but I would definitely, regardless, try to make sure you have something in your savings before going. Also, if you look at workaway.com, I believe, or workaway.info, you can find volunteering opportunities, like a plethora of different opportunities in which you can give something and then be given something in exchange. But on my channel, I'll be talking primarily about becoming an au pair and what that takes and what that looks like, and my experience. I'll talk more about that in a different video, but for now, that's my spill. You don't have to go to college right away. You don't have to go to grad school right away. You don't have to get your master's right away. You don't have to work right away. Definitely get a job before you go if you want to travel. Get enough in your savings. Put enough, even if it's just $1,000, enough to sustain you for a few months, enough to sustain you for a year. Do your research, and if you have any other questions, feel free to write those questions in the comments, and I will try my best to research them or to answer them, or just talk more about my experience and what I did to prepare for my year abroad as an au pair. Best of luck. See ya.